Welcome back to the Hockey Show, and today I'm taking a look at the Stanley Cup playoff matchups right now and taking my prediction at who will win the Stanley Cup. Now, the trade deadline is coming up on us real soon on March 3rd, and that's the last stop for these teams to put the best team they can assemble on the ice to gear up for the Stanley Cup playoffs. In some teams, it's probably more important than others. For example, let's say like the Penguins going in. This might be their final year. Every year seems to be their final year, we keep saying, but then they keep being amazing. But maybe this finally is it. Maybe they bring in that one trade deadline move to try to get past the first round. Maybe get Ovechkin, Crosby, and Malkin a Stanley Cup for one last time, right? So that is what we're taking a look at. What teams probably would need to gear up the most, but really, who's going to win the Stanley Cup at this current moment? So let's start off with the Eastern Conference. Right now, it's the Bruins versus the second slotted wild card position, which is the Washington Capitals. Now, the Capitals versus the Bruins, what a classic matchup this would be. Ovechkin versus Bergeron, Marchand versus Backstrom. I mean, this needs to be a winter classic, folks. This should have been what it was this year. But anyways, so right now the Bruins, this would be such a tough team for the Capitals to play against. I mean, they've already kind of been, I don't want to say terrible, but they have not won a matchup in a little while now, and against the Bruins of all teams, who seem to be one of the best built teams of all time at this season. So it would be a very, very hard matchup for the Capitals, and I just think if you go one for one across the whole lineup, except Ovechkin to like maybe Pastrnak, but everywhere else in the lineup, you go Kuznetsov to Bergeron. I'd rather have Bergeron in right now, and just because of that, and just the whole team overall, I just cannot see in any way that the Capitals could possibly get past the Boston Bruins in the first round. Now, I will say that there's some other teams that could potentially be playing in this spot as well. We got the Buffalo Sabres. You know, the Sabres, maybe could squeak it into the playoffs. They're like, what was it, like 4 or 5? They're 5 points, 4 or 5 points out of a playoff spot behind the Capitals. Maybe they squeeze in, but could I see the Buffalo Sabres beating the Bruins? I just don't. I think if there was a team that I could also list on here, like the Florida Panthers and potentially the team that's almost going to steal the spot from the Capitals in the Islanders, I don't think so. I think of all the teams that could maybe squeak into the playoffs at this point, the Bruins, the Buffalo Sabres, it might be crazy, but they might have that Blues mentality of like, yeah, we weren't slotted to be even in the playoffs, but here we are. We're young, we're exciting, we're electric. Let's go in, we're going to show up, and we're going to win. So, of all the teams, I would say the Sabres would have the best chance of beating the Bruins, but I'd see it'd be so hard for that to happen. So, the Bruins get to the second round no matter which second wild card they play against. And then we've got the Capitals, the Lightning versus the Toronto Maple Leafs, the matchup from last season, right? This would be a very anticipated one. That was a crazy series last year, and I think a team like Toronto, the joke has been obviously they can't win past the first round. It's impossible. They can't get past it, and I agree. This is not a playoff-ready team. It just isn't, and they haven't proven that over the last few years. I think this trade deadline, they really should go out there, and I think they need to find, I don't even know. Maybe like a Jacob Chikrin. Like, I don't think anything offensively, no. They're fine offensively, but goaltending and defensively, I think they need that one more piece. Last season was the year of Toronto. That was the one year where I've actually felt like they could actually go far in the playoffs. But because last year was the year and they couldn't get past the Lightning, I still got to say the Lightning are going to get past the Toronto Maple Leafs once again in the first round. I just don't. There's no way. Last year was Toronto's year, and they didn't do it. They gave me no hope that they could do it this year. So, now we got the Hurricanes versus the Penguins. Now, of course, things could change. We could potentially have the Capitals versus the Hurricanes, which would be cool because that's the Stadium Series coming up tomorrow. In 2 days. So, that would be a cool matchup to see that happen in the Stadium Series, then in the playoffs. So, it doesn't really matter, though, because no matter what, the Hurricanes are going to get past. There's no way. The Penguins have been so terrible in the last years that they've been playing. They almost squeaked out against the Rangers, which gives me no hope in the Rangers. But for the Penguins to go against the Hurricanes or the Capitals versus the Hurricanes, I just don't see any team really having a chance against them. I don't think Carolina is going to lose in the first round no matter who they play against. One of these teams that I listed up here before, the Panthers, the Sabres, the Islanders, I just don't see it happening. The Hurricanes get to the second round. They're just such an overall amazingly built team. Goaltending, defense, and offense. It's all so good. There's no way first round, there's no way. So then we've got the Rangers versus the Devils. Now this would be a super matchup, right? This is a dream matchup that we'd want to see, that we'd all be hyped at. They would be like Minnesota versus St. Louis last year, which was disappointing, but regardless, I don't think this one would be. I think this would be an amazing 6-game matchup. I don't think it would go 7. I think one team's going to win, and I think that would be the team. I think the Devils would come out hot and on fire, and they'd be trying their hardest, and they'd show up the Rangers. I would say in the first 2 games, I think the Devils beat them. But then after that, I think the Rangers go on, and then they win in 6. I just think the Rangers, they have that playoff experience. They're older. They've got a little bit more on the team, and now they've added Tarasenko. I think the Devils are too young, and they're inexperienced right now, and I just don't think goaltending-wise and defensively that they would be there. And I know they're doing great this season. I'm not saying they're a bad team, but I think the Rangers, they just have that edge over them especially when it comes to the playoffs. So then we move on to the Western Conference. Now the Western Conference, the Dallas Stars, right now in the number 1 spot, they would be playing either the Calgary Flames or the Minnesota Wild. So between them right now, they're tied, 61 points. And by the end of the season, I just have a feeling that Calgary will be the team to squeak it out. And I think between those two, this would be so cool. Because last year, the Stars were the wild card spot and played against the number 1 Flames. And now it's the reverse this year. And I think the same thing would happen that happened last year where the number 1 team moves on. I don't see in a world where the Flames finally just squeak it into the playoffs and then the Dallas Stars get upset by the Flames. I just don't see it happening. Last year was already so close, and the Stars are so much better this year that the Flames would have no chance against a better Stars team when they almost lost to them last year. So going to staying in the Central Division, the Jets versus the Colorado Avalanche. Now, this would be a good series. I mean, just kind of 2 cold cities. The tale of the cold cities, right? And the Winnipeg Jets, I mean, are so heavily star-studded, right? Kind of like the Maple Leafs, where they're all up front and then they kind of trail back. And for the Avalanche, the returning Stanley Cup champions, the Avalanche, who do seem a little bit watered down this year. I don't know what's up with that, but they definitely seem a little bit held back this season. Between the two, Winnipeg versus the Avalanche would be I think this would be the best series out of the whole playoffs, because I think it would be a back and forth one. I think one would win one, and then the next 1-1, 2-1, 2-2. I think it would go all the way until Game 6. I think it would go 3-2, and then the final game, one team would win in overtime. So it would be a 6-game series between the two of them, and I think that there's no way. I just don't see the Winnipeg Jets have lost my faith when it comes to the playoffs, and I think the Avalanche would make it past the first round. However, I would not be surprised if it's the other way. I think this is going to be the closest one in the whole playoffs here, would be between those two teams. The Avs versus the Jets would be such a tight matchup that I don't really it could easily go either way. So then moving on to the Pacific Division, the Kings versus the Knights, a classic. This is, I think, my favorite, two teams against each other, because it seems like every time they play, it's an amazing game, even in the regular season. So, the Kings versus the Knights. Man, the Golden Knights are such a good playoff team every single time they make it into the playoffs, at least. And, oh wait, I'm so stupid. It isn't the Kings. It's the Oilers. The Kings. The Oilers versus the Golden Knights. So the Oilers versus the Golden Knights. I mean, McDavid, Draisaitl, of course, we know the story with the Oilers. When it comes to the Golden Knights, they're just so deep and such a well-built team. And I know I say that for a lot of them, but that's what it takes to be a really good team. So overall, just good. Now, I think this is where it would show where Thompson, if he should be a Vezina candidate or not, or a Calder winner, right? So, I don't know. Between these two, I really don't see a way where McDavid and the Oilers could win, except if Thompson is not good in the playoffs. I think when McDavid's in the playoffs, he goes into a whole he already is in his own stratosphere, but in the playoffs, he's beyond our galaxy. So, I think this would be a real tale between the two, but I don't think McDavid could will his whole team against just Logan Thompson. And the Oilers, they had me last year, and this year they've lost my hope, kind of like the Maple Leafs, so I don't see a way. I think the Golden Knights move on past just because their team would be able to outpower the Oilers' whole squad. I mean, especially goaltending and defensively and offense, just every spot, just they would overpower them. And then we've got the Kings versus the Kraken, the actual matchup. So, this is going to be a cool one. I think it would be so cool. It's going to be so cool to see the Kraken in their first playoffs and see how the newest expansion team does against the last one and how they do in the playoffs. And I think it's kind of got the same devil situation where the Kraken, I just don't see them having the playoff guts yet. I just don't think, especially since they're built around a rookie, I don't see them getting past a team with such a good playoff presence in the Kings, and I think the Kings are going to move on in this year's Stanley Cup playoffs. I mean, it just makes sense. The Dustin Brown ceremony, right? Like, what that just happened, I feel like they're going to write off a high of that, and I think the Kings are going to have they're going to have a momentum behind them. Moving on to the second round. So let's go back to the Eastern Conference. So the Bruins versus the Lightning, a classic matchup. I know I keep saying that, but we're in an era where these teams keep playing against each other. And the Bruins versus the Lightning. Man, this is the real story of the whole series. This is going to be the best one of the second round. And between the Bruins and the Lightning, it's so hard to always write out the Lightning, and it's so hard to bet against them, but I do feel like they're coming to an end of their energy and how good the Bruins are going to be. But I think the Lightning getting past Toronto in the first round is going to spark them so much, and the Bruins are going to have an easy pass by the Capitals. I think the Lightning are going to have that thing where they went through adversity and they got through it, and the Bruins didn't, and it's going to be tortoise in the hare, and I think the Lightning are actually going to beat the Bruins and make it to the third round again for the fourth or fifth year or sixth year in a row. Who knows how many? People forget that they were good before they started winning the Stanley Cup. And then we go down. So, the Hurricanes versus the Rangers. Once again, these two face off in the second round. And between the two of them, I think, this would be so cool to see these two against each other again with the whole home situation happen, except it's now the other way around where the Hurricanes start at home, so they'd have that advantage. I don't think the Rangers I don't think they're going to beat them again for the second year in a row, but with the addition of Vladimir Tarasenko to probably outpower, and I know I keep saying that word that doesn't even exist, but to overpower the Hurricanes and their defense, it might be too much for them. And Anderson seems to always get injured. And Sebastian Aho, I don't really know if they're viable playoff players, and I think, as much as I don't want to say this, but I think, just going through my head, that the Rangers are going to get past the Jerks once again, and they're going to be playing the Tampa Bay Lightning in the Stanley Cup, in the conference final for the second year in a row. And moving on to the Western Conference. So, we got the Stars versus the Avalanche. Now, this is a matchup that has happened recently, and, well, sort of, a few years ago. And the Stars versus the Avs. You take the team with so many superstars but kind of fall off against the team that is just all around just clicking right now. And I mean, the Avs are such a good team, right? This would be, I bet this is the third game in the whole Stanley Cup series to go to Game 7. And between the two, I mean, Dallas, they've got such a good depth team right now. And Ottinger, when he shows up when he needs to. And the fact that the Colorado Avalanche seem to lose certain games this season, and they're not doing as well as they were in last year's. I mean, the whole thing with Colorado is that second round. And I think this is going to be another year where they're going to have a struggle with the Jets. And when they play against Dallas, I don't think they're going to recuperate. And I think Dallas is going to get past, even though I don't really know if I believe it or not. But Dallas makes it to the conference finals. So then we move down to the matchup that I was actually talking about, the Kings versus the Golden Knights. So I think this would be the best series of the entire playoffs. Jets versus the Avs would be the one that gets everyone fired up. But the Kings versus the Knights is going to be the matchup of all matchups to happen. And between the two, this is going to be a type of matchup that it doesn't matter which team comes in with the better defense overall and the best offense and the best goaltending. This is going to be purely playoff hockey, which team wants it more. And between the two of them, between the Knights and the Kings, I honestly think that there's a story going on with the Kings right now. There's a momentum going behind them. I really honestly think that the Kings would somehow upset the Golden Knights and they would move on to the conference finals, which I know is a nuts statement to say, but I think this might actually happen. I wouldn't be surprised. So our conference finals are a rematch between the Lightning and the Rangers, and the Stars versus the Kings. This would be crazy. Two teams that have been good for a little while, and two teams that have come out of nowhere over the last few years, right? So, well, sort of. So, the Rangers versus the Lightning. Between the two, this rematch from last year, the Lightning against the Rangers. Man, I mean, I think this might be finally the time where the Lightning, they've fought so hard against the Maple Leafs. They fight so hard against the Bruins, unsuspecting team. I think the Bruins are going to be the type of team that aren't ready, and they're going to lose in Game 5 or something. I don't think they're going to be prepared, and they're just going to get onslaughted by the Lightning. So they're going to get past the Bruins, and then you fight against the Rangers, who seem to have an easy time with the Devils, and I think they're going to have a weird tango with the Hurricanes. And I think this culmination, this matchup, this rivalry here, I think that everything surrounding these teams, I think that the New York Rangers will have learned their lesson from last year, and I think the Rangers will beat the Tampa Bay Lightning. As much as I literally hate the New York Rangers, the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to finally lose and not make it to the Stanley Cup final for the first time in 4 years that they don't make it, and they lose in the conference final to the Rangers, who make it to the Stanley Cup finals. So then the Stars versus the LA Kings. This is going to be, once again, I think the West is just going to be full of fun matchups. I think the Eastern Conference is going to be the weird side where the Devils and the Rangers going to be pretty simple matchups. I think that's what it'll be. It's going to be pretty simple matchups between the teams, other than maybe Tampa and Toronto. I think the Western is going to be just some crazy matchups and some crazy come-out wins. And between the Stars and the Kings, this would be such a fun matchup. I think both teams are being cheered on for by the fans. And between the Stars and the Kings, I think the Kings have a momentum behind them. I know I keep saying that, but I just feel like they've got something pushing them. And I think they're going to try really hard against the Dallas Stars. And I know that's obvious. That's an obvious thing to say. They're going to try really hard. But I think they're going to really push the Dallas Stars. And I think the Stars are going to be pushed to their breaking point. And I bet this one goes to Game 7 between these two teams. It's going to be I think the Kings go up 1, and then it's tied 1-1, and then the Kings go up 2-1, and then maybe 3-1. The Stars win 2, and then in Game 7, it comes down to the final third period, where in the final minute, it'll be tied 2-2. No, 3-3. It'll be tied 3-3 in the final minute of Game 7 in the third period. And I think the LA Kings, they're going to get a goal by Adrian Kempe. Adrian Kempe is going to score the game-winning goal of Game 7 in the third period with a minute left. And the LA Kings are going to beat the Dallas Stars. And we are going to get a rematch of the 2012 Stanley Cup between the Rangers and the LA Kings here in 2023. That would be absolutely nuts. The year that Alec Martinez won them the Stanley Cup with the goal against Henrik Lundqvist. This matchup, this would be crazy to see. I'm getting excited over this. And between the Kings and the Rangers, this would be such a the Kings are going to have the whole this is going to be like the Blues versus the Bruins situation again, where I think the Kings are going to just have such a they've beaten the new team in the Seattle Kraken. They've beaten them, they squashed their dreams. They go on to play against the team that outshowed them the first year they went to the playoffs against the Golden Knights, and they pushed back against their rival. They're the Kings. They're the Knights. They bow to them. They move on against the Stars. And against the Stars and them, two teams that are just everyone's kind of excited for, but no one really probably thinks is going to win the Stanley Cup or anything, but they're going to go against each other, and between the two teams, this crazy matchup, they're going to move on to the Stanley Cup Finals against the Rangers, a team that had an easy way with the young and producing New Jersey Devils, go against the Hurricanes, where last season they had their own kind of tango with. They rematch against them, and they come out with the win. And then they go against another rematch where they play up against the Lightning, where they turn the tables, and they move on to the Stanley Cup Finals against the Kings and the Rangers. And this series would go 4-2, and the winning team of the Stanley Cup playoffs, I think, in the year 2023, at this current moment, between the Kings and the Rangers, I am going to say that it'll go 4-2. The series will go 1-1 and then 2-1 and then 2-2, and then one team's going to win 2 more in a row and win the Stanley Cup, and I think the title is going to go... You know what? It's going to go, the Stanley Cup is going to go to the New York Rangers. And that is what I have to say. I don't like that at all. I don't like the Rangers, and that's what I'm choosing. Not that anyone's watching this, but I'm picking the Rangers to win the Stanley Cup, which I didn't think I was going to do. So, there we go. So the New York Rangers are your 2023 Stanley Cup champion. That move with Vladimir Tarasenko, they already have amazing defense. They've got an amazing goaltender. Their offense was already great, but they add in a stud in Vladimir Tarasenko, who's on a mission to regain that Stanley Cup from 2019. And with his help, they're going to win it with Panarin and Zibanejad, Lafreniere and Capo Caco. The future is bright with the Rangers, and the future is also now. They've won the Stanley Cup in the year 2023 when they lost to the Kings the last time they played 11 years ago. And that is going to be your Stanley Cup. So thank you for watching this. I guess if you like this video, feel free to pick up your subscription down below by hitting that red subscribe button. If you like this video, leave a like, not a dislike, but go down below to the comment section and tell me how stupid this is, because I don't see this happening, but maybe it will. So, thank you for watching this, and until next time, I've been your crocodile-dressed host, Owen, too sweet, and ta-ta for now.